Hi, welcome to the video for problem E1-6. As always, try the problem first and then watch the video. Okay, this problem is another cost classification problem. We're going to start here looking at the matrix that we've got. So I've divided this into product costs, which are direct materials, labor, and manufacturing overhead, and period costs. So these categories right here, product and period costs, that covers everything. Prime cost is just the sum of direct materials and direct labor. Conversion costs is just the sum of direct labor and manufacturing overhead. So once we've decided which one of these four categories it goes into, we're really done. The other ones are just a calculation. Okay, let's start. So factory rent of $42,000, that's manufacturing overhead. It's a cost of making the product, but it doesn't go directly into the product like material and labor do, so that's considered overhead. Company advertising, any kind of selling, marketing, administrative, accounting, finance, legal services, any of those kind of expenses are period costs, which means we cost them, we expense them during the period. We don't build them into the inventory and then expense them when the inventory is sold, like we do for product costs. Okay, so company advertising is a period cost. Wages paid to seamstresses. This company makes clothing for chefs, so that's clearly a direct labor cost. They're directly making the product. Depreciation on salesperson's vehicles. Because these are vehicles used for selling, those are period costs. If we had depreciation on a truck that was used in the plant, moving materials from one place to another, that depreciation would be manufacturing overhead. Okay, thread, that's directly used in the product, but we may not trace it directly to the product. So we may not know exactly how much thread was used in a particular product. We just look at how much thread we used in total and spread it out over the number of products. So thread will be a manufacturing cost, overhead cost. Utilities for the factory, that's also an overhead cost. Any costs associated with the plant, the factory itself, are typically overhead costs. Cutting room supervisor's salary. Now, because the supervisor doesn't directly touch the product, is probably not directly making the product, just overseeing people who do, that person's salary would also be a manufacturing overhead cost. Okay, the president's salary. The president oversees manufacturing, yes, but the president is considered an administrator primarily, so that's an administrative period cost. Cotton material used in the chef's clothing, that's direct material. Buttons, those you could kind of go either way. If these buttons are costly and we would keep track of inventory that went into each product, we might call them direct materials. In this case, I'm going to call them manufacturing overhead. Because they're so small, we're probably not counting exactly how many we're using for what. Factory insurance, costs of running the factory, that's manufacturing overhead. Depreciation on sewing machines, equipment used in the manufacture of clothing, that's manufacturing overhead. And wages paid to the cutters, those people are cutting the product, they're touching the product, they are direct labor. Okay, now we've got prime costs. Again, that is simply direct materials plus direct labor. So here's a prime cost, this $75,000. This $42,000 is a prime cost. And this $50,000. And then conversion costs, that's simply the labor plus the overhead. So we'll take that one. that one. All three of these. Copy this down. Also going to copy it to these other overhead areas. Let's see, we got all materials and labor. No, there is, that 50,000 is also a prime cost. And then we're done. Okay, so I'm going to sum these up. Let's add together all the costs. And we'll copy that across. And then down here, we're asked for direct materials, total here, direct labor here, manufacturing overhead here. And then we're asked for total manufacturing cost. That wasn't included in our spreadsheet above, but total manufacturing cost is just materials plus labor plus manufacturing overhead. So we'll sum those three together. And then we've got prime costs totaled up already, and conversion cost. Okay, and that does it for problem 1-6. Thanks for watching.